Hey, what's up guys? It's your man 4am again, back with more V-Rising. Today I'm gonna show you my endgame caster build for melee PvE, but also talk about interesting alterations which can make it work for PvP as well. With this build, you will hit enemies like a truck and destroy them with ease. The high spell damage and life leech in return keeps your HP maxed all the time. I'm gonna share my gear, explain the best use of the weapon skills, cover different interesting abilities, talk about the best blood and consumables just like I did with my previous berserker build with axes, so let's get right to it. Alright, so before we get started, it would be very much appreciated if you can leave a like at the end of the video if you find this one helpful, and of course also share your thoughts in the comments down below. Cheers! Alright, so let's first talk about the armor. By the way guys, I'm currently wearing the top tier armor, which you can get your hands on in the game, but this one will also work with lower tier armor as they don't really provide any spell damage or things that make caster builds more interesting. So the Blood Moon set is basically the strongest one which you can get your hands on as of right now. 2 parts increase your movement speed by 6%, while the 4-part bonus is the increased attack speed by 6%, and also your gear level by 1, which really don't add up to caster builds. But then we also have the Shard of the Frozen Crypt, which is fantastic for spell casting and dealing a lot more damage with it. So basically we get a 27.9 spell power, 15% spell critical strike chance, 20% damage, and also a reduced cooldown of 10% to all abilities. We currently have a gear level of 75, and that's because we're not wearing the Sanguine Reaper, but I'm gonna get to that in a second. Maximum HP 456. Physical power is all pretty low, but we're gonna cast spells, so this is all not very interesting. But the spell power is 56.2 with a critical chance of 25% and a critical damage of 170. So that's what makes this build very powerful in PvE but also PvP situations. As weapon, we're using the General Soul Reaper with a way lower gear level in comparison with the Sanguine Reaper, but the physical damage really doesn't matter. Instead, you want to focus on that extra spell power right here, as well as the plus 5% spell critical strike chance. 5% extra crit chance is a lot, guys. You should definitely not underestimate it. The General Soul Reaper is a top tier weapon, the best weapon for caster builds, as you won't be going melee with your weapon in the first place. The first ability is called Tendon Swing. It has a pretty long cooldown, and you basically want to use this one to knock back your enemies. You don't want to use this one to deal damage in any way. You want to save it because it has a long cooldown, and when enemies get too close, you use this one to knock them back. While with the second ability, the Howling Reaper, you can actually slow down your enemies. So you want to cast this one when they are about to get to you, or basically if you want to keep them at bay, and then of course if they get too close, you can just knock them into the slow. So these two work very well in combination with each other. If we look at the weapon scaling of this one, it's only 20% of your physical damage. So it really doesn't matter if you go with either Sanguine Reaper or the General Soul Reaper for that damage. You mainly want to focus on that spell damage. Now, onto the abilities. So we have many interesting abilities which we can use for this build, but if you're going PvE, guys, you should definitely go with the Veil of Chaos. This one gives you a lot of maneuverability, and at the same time will deal some damage when your ghost, let's say, explodes, and of course it gives you 2 charges of the dash. So you can use this one to get some pretty big distance on your enemies, while it also has some extra damage, which I think is pretty nice. Then we have the Chaos Volley, which launches 2 bolts in the sequence that deal quite some magic damage and also inflict a Chaos Burn, so we have some damage ticking over time, while the alternative option for this one is definitely the Sanguine Coil. If you're playing duos or quads, you can actually use this one to heal your enemies and at the same time, of course, also consistently hit your enemies with it, while it comes with way less damage, because this one only comes with 75% magic damage and leeches 40% of the HP of enemies. You can also heal your allies with it, while the Chaos Volley will have 125. Personally, especially if you're playing solo, I don't think you want to go with the Sanguine Coils, as the damage output is quite low and you will already have a lot of spell life leech with your abilities when you're using the right blood, which we will get to in a second. So top tier pick, Chaos Volley, especially when you get a free cast. The second one is gonna be Void. This one summons an orb that explodes at a target location, dealing a lot of magic damage and also inflicting Chaos Burn, which is basically your AoE ability. And it has a pretty big radius, while with the Chaos Volley, you will have a lot of single target damage. Look at that, we just got a free cast, another one, so we can basically keep casting this bad boy. Oh wow, that was a lot of luck right there. But the combination of these two spells allow you to hit like a truck on the battlefield, obliterate your enemies in no time. If you want to take this build into PvP, I can definitely suggest you the Veil of Frost, because this one allows you to shield yourself for some spell power, and we have a lot of that with this build. Your next primary attack will deal some damage and also have a Frost Nova, inflicting chill on nearby enemies, basically slowing them down. And if you combine it with something like the Frost Bat, boy oh boy, you can chill your enemies even more and freeze them for 2.5 seconds, while a nice AoE ability for this would be the Ice Nova, so you will freeze your enemies for 4 seconds. So basically you put this one in the first one and that one in the second. So here you have your single target long range damage, and then your free cast with freeze and chill for AoE damage and also freezing your enemies a little bit more. For the ultimate ability, I love to go with the Arctic Leap, because it does give you some extra maneuverability, which can be very helpful, especially in PvP situations, and it will basically freeze your enemies for 3 seconds, and it is very hard to miss. If you take down the Winged Horror at the Dreaded Peak, you can get your hands on another ultimate which basically deals a lot of AoE damage, but I personally prefer the Arctic Leap. But let's move on to the blood. So basically, you want to have some Scholar blood in your base. A 100% Scholar is definitely recommended, as it will take this build to the next level. I got one right here with some extra potions in the base. So this blood basically increases your spell power by 25%, reduces the cooldown on spells by 15%, and also give you a 10% spell life leech. So all the spell damage, the cooldown on it will be fantastic, while you will have a lot of life leech, so you can keep your HP to the maximum at all times, especially for PvE. And also a 20% chance to reset the cooldown of your spells when casting, which sometimes makes it very overpowered. It's an RNG ability, but it can happen many times in a row, so you will literally blow up your enemies, especially in PvE. And of course, with 100% blood, we get the boost all above effects by another 30%, so this will make it even better. Some very nice consumables for this build. First of all, the Witch Potion, which further increases your spell power by another 8 for 1200 seconds, especially for taking down bosses. This one is gonna help out big time. But if you drop low on HP, the Blood Rose Potions or the Blood Rose Brews will help out big time to restore your lives as well. You definitely don't want a Blood Mend, as this will drain your blood pool. And you actually want to keep this 100% at all times, because it is precious for this build. Personally though, I think you will already have enough life leech with your spell, so you will be able to heal yourself up to maximum at all times, so you don't really have to worry about losing a lot of HP. So, if we take this build outside for a second, with the Chaos Volley, it's only one ability, but you actually launch 2 Chaos Bolts, so you have a chance to have a free cast 2 times. So this is the first one, that's the second one, didn't happen this time. But here we go with another one, and we just got a free cast, and look at that, we get free cast 2 times. So you actually have 2 times 20% chance to instantly reset the cooldown of this ability, which makes it very interesting. While with the second one, of course, you already have 2 charges, so you can just keep spamming your abilities if you have luck with the free cast. Look at this, guys, it just keeps popping up. So, if we take this build into action, you basically want to use your Howling Reaper skill of your weapon first to basically put a slow before the melee enemies can reach you, and if they already did, you basically use your Tendon Swing first ability to knock them back and slow them down a little bit more with that Fading Snare, while of course you can also engage with the Void to just blow up your enemies at a distance and then finish them off with the Chaos Volley. I do pretty much the same when I go on high value targets, especially these strong paladins. So I throw in the Howling Reaper first, spam with my Chaos Volley and Void, and if they get too close, you just use your Tendon Swing. But with the free cast, boy oh boy, if you are a little bit lucky, you can obliterate them, take them out in only seconds. So it feels really good if you get those free casts of the Scholar build. But that, my friends, is pretty much it. How you work with this one. If you get swarmed by enemies, you can use your Arctic Leap to just neutralize all the threats. Then just spam all your abilities, and that is basically it. So guys, there you have it, my Scholar build for mid-end game. If you enjoyed watching this one, if you found it helpful, make sure to hit that like button, helps out the channel, so very much appreciate it. And of course, leave your thoughts in the comments down below about what you think could make this build even better, or how you would fine-tune it to make it work best for PvP situations. If you have suggestions for future builds, or of course have more questions about V-Rising, let me know in the comments down below as well. Right now though, I want to wish you an awesome day. See you next time, peace.